For the past several years in college football, the Heisman Trophy winners weren't players favored to win the award going into the season. But at least so far, Vegas had 3 players clearly above the rest of the field, which is still the case heading into Week 4. The favorite is still C.J. Stroud, who is putting up big numbers as the Buckeyes head into conference play at the Shoe against Wisconsin.
It's going to take more because now we're going to Big Ten play, and we just got to be more and more focused and stick together and just keep rolling with this good momentum.
Just behind Stroud in the sports books is Caleb Williams, who has been as advertised with the new-look Trojans alongside new head coach Lincoln Riley. Williams and fellow transfer Jordan Addison have formed a lethal 1-2 punch thus far, but will get an early season test in Corvallis against undefeated Oregon State.
We got to be consistent. We got to worry about the little things because those go a long way. Ready for Oregon State.
Bryce Young is attempting to become the first back-to-back Heisman winner in nearly half a century, but is off to a slower start than last season while still trying to get on the same page with his current playmakers. It's something they'll want to get squared away in Week 4 against an improved Vanderbilt team before the level of competition starts to rise.
We know it's going to take everything from us, so it's on us to make sure that we're the most prepared we can be, put ourselves in the best circumstance for preparation this week, and try to execute to the best of our ability.
Will it continue to be a 3-horse race for the most illustrious award in college football, or is there a dark horse contender that will jump into the conversation? With no overwhelming favorite, this is a debate that is likely just heating up.
All right, so a good chance to see the top 3 Heisman candidates tonight in late games. C.J. Stroud and Ohio State given 19.5 at home to Wisconsin. Caleb Williams, one of the reasons USC has jumped right back into the thick of things in college football. The Trojans in Corvallis this evening to take on Oregon State, and Bryce Young, Alabama. 40.5-point favorites at home to Vanderbilt. Enough said. We also get a ranked-on-ranked matchup in the late slate between number 10 Arkansas and number 23 Texas A&M. Back here on the HQ with the Wizard of Odds, Kenny White, and CBS Sports college football writer Tom Fornelli. Guys, let's start at the horseshoe. Ohio State giving 19.5. The total is 57. Kenny, where do you have this thing going?
Boy, Russ, when I first looked at this and I made Ohio State like 19 in the game, I thought, how could Ohio State be 19 over Wisconsin? But they should be. The number one offense in the entire country. C.J. Stroud has been amazing. He's just on target right now with his receivers. They are so well balanced as well. This offense is almost unstoppable, especially at home. We thought that at the beginning of the year. They're going to put up a tremendous amount of points. I think they do it again today. 8.5 yards per pass so far for Stroud, and this offense just continues to roll. I think Wisconsin will put some points on the board. Graham Mertz, very experienced quarterback, 44 for 62. He's thrown 6 touchdown passes, and he's averaging over 10 yards a pass himself this season. So I think this is a shootout. I think Ohio State gets out early. They take Wisconsin out of their game, and they force Wisconsin to play a little bit faster and a little bit more throwing today. So over for me in this one.
I'm going to lay the points with Ohio State. I have a lot of respect for Jim Leonard and the Wisconsin defense, but Kenny, as you're talking about, this Ohio State offense is just one of the best in the country. It is very hard for any defense to stop. And we saw in their season opener against Notre Dame, they did struggle to move the ball. They didn't look like the typical Ohio State, but it was their first game without Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, and they also lost Jackson Smith and Jigba to an injury early in the game, which thrust guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka into larger roles than they were expecting and they were accustomed to. Well, now a few weeks later, Harrison and Egbuka have settled in. They look like future stars. I don't know about Jackson Smith and Jigba's role yet for today. He might be available, he might not. I don't think it's going to matter just because I do not think Wisconsin has the corners to match up with these guys. And on the other side, I don't have a ton of faith in the Wisconsin offense right now. I think Braylon Allen is an excellent running back, but Graham Mertz, like you mentioned those numbers, Kenny, most of those came against the Wisconsin's lower tier opponents. In the game against Washington State, he looked like the same Graham Mertz we've seen the last few years. He only completed 55% of his passes. I don't think he's going to find much success against what is an improved Ohio State defense. I think the Buckeyes are going to win big, although I am a little scared of a backdoor cover late in the game.
Just so weird to say Wisconsin getting so many points against Ohio State. Just looking at that on its face, but you dig in, and that's why it's there. Last season, USC was favored by 10, and lost by 18 at home to Oregon State, but this is not last season. The Trojans, on the other hand, are sort of like back into where it looks more normal, or what we perceive to be normal. They're favored by 6 on the road in Corvallis. Tom, what's the play here?
Oh, principal play. You got a total in the 70s. I'm going under. They're not going to score that many points in this game. USC's offense, obviously, since Lincoln Riley came, brought Caleb Williams, added Jordan Addison. They've been fantastic. They're very difficult to stop. They are playing very well. But I think that this is probably the toughest team they will have faced so far this season. And on the other side, Oregon State's offense has been pretty impressive on its own in its games. But this USC defense, I have to give it credit. I did not have high expectations for the Trojans defensively coming into the year. They are playing better than I expected, and as you can see by that graphic, the biggest key is they are forcing turnovers. They are turning the other team over and putting their offense in great spots. I think that the defense is going to play well today. I don't know if they're going to force as many turnovers, but I do think they'll slow the Beavers down. This isn't going to be a low-scoring game by any stretch, but I don't think it's going to be getting into the 70s, probably the mid to high 60s.
You know, I'm going to play the total a little different direction. I'm going to play over, but I'm going over first half so we can actually both still win our bets in this game.
Let's do
Caleb Williams, tremendous start. Lincoln Riley, his offense has gotten off to a hot start in all 3 games so far. You got to love the weapons. Jordan Addison, the best player on the field, just been tremendous so far. And Williams, looking at his numbers, over 10 yards a pass, 8 touchdown passes. They put up 41. Let's think about college football. There's so much of a difference playing at home and on the road. Well, USC's already been out on the road. They were in Stanford. They put up 41 against the Cardinal that day. And on the other side, Jonathan Smith's offense has been clicking at all cylinders as well. They put up 34 on a really solid Boise State defense and 35 on Fresno State. Chance Nolan, their quarterback, who's a junior college quarterback of the year like 3 years ago in California. And I expected him to start then. He didn't, but he's gotten the experience now. And he's thrown for over 10 yards per pass, 7 touchdowns himself. So I'm going over 35 in the first half.
You know what? I'm loving that teamwork from Kenny. He's looking for a way that everybody can win on these bets here. Kenny, I'm coming back to you here because we're going to Tuscaloosa. And a betting line that looks something like, I don't know, we would have seen like an Iowa State at Nebraska in 1994. I probably could have looked this thing up. But Alabama's favored by 40.5 at home against Vanderbilt. What do you think of that?
Yeah, and you know, and Alabama's always been a good first half team to lay the points because they come ready to play. They've got a Heisman Trophy quarterback in Bryce Young who puts up points. So I'm going to just go over in the first half, and I think it's a solid bet, over 34. Bryce Young, as mentioned, 9 TD passes already this year. McClellan at running back. They are just loaded once again offensively. On the other side, A.J. Swan has been a decent quarterback, put up points for Vanderbilt. I think they'll get at least 1 touchdown, and that's all it's going to take. 1 Vandy touchdown in the first half to get this game over the 34.
Yeah, they're disrespecting my Commodores from Vanderbilt. I think the spread is too large, and I think, honestly, the market hasn't really caught on to what we've seen from both of these teams so far in 2022. Alabama is still Alabama. It's a national title contender. It's contending for the SEC title, but it's missing explosive plays from its offense. They have not been able to stretch the field vertically in the same way that they have the last few years, and we saw what that led to in games against Texas, where they struggled to move the ball down the field consistently. And I think that's still a problem, which makes it hard for them to cover spreads this large. And as far as Vanderbilt's concerned, Clark Lee and my former Cover 3 co-host Barton Simmons have done an excellent job of increasing the talent level of this roster in a short amount of time. This is a bigger, more athletic team than we're used to seeing from Vandy. And I think offensively, Kenny, as you were saying, this is a team that's going to be able to put up some points against Alabama more than most people realize. So I don't think Vanderbilt's going to go in here and knock off Alabama and pull off the upset of the century. But I think 40.5 points is quite a few too many. So take the Commodores and the points.
Look at Tom going with the heart and the head on this one with his Commodores. Hey, when Arkansas finally beat A&M last year, it ended the Razorbacks' 9-year losing streak to the Aggies. But it's not like Arkansas hasn't had any success against A&M. In fact, they're 4-0 against the spread in these games since Jimbo Fisher took control in College Station. So, Tom, how do you see this one playing out?
About to be 5-0 against the spread. I can't trust Texas A&M right now, not with Jimbo still calling plays. This is an offense that we've seen now since Jimbo came to Texas A&M. it's from the Stone Ages. It's not like it's out of maybe that's right. It's not obsolete. It's too complicated. And this is college where quarterbacks can't show up to the facility at 5 a.m. and stay there until 7 p.m. watching tape and studying the playbook. The reason that college offenses are so simplistic is because there's time limits on what players are allowed to do while also still having to go to class. And there's a reason Texas A&M quarterbacks haven't been able to master the playbook. There's too much to learn. Meanwhile, Arkansas has a very simple offense, one that leads to a lot of big plays that KJ Jefferson does an excellent job of running. So I think that the Hogs are the better offense in this game. I think that defensively, there's a lot of bend but don't break. They've been bad against the pass, but I don't think that's a problem against Texas A&M because Texas A&M can't pass. So give me Arkansas and the point.
I'm going under the total here, and it all has to do with Texas A&M and that porous offense. And it's been all at home, and now they got to go on the road. It's a neutral game, but still, it's not at home. Max Johnson threw for under 200 yards last week. The offense just, as Tom mentioned, too complicated for what the players are trying to get done right now. But the defense has been doing their task. Number 9 in college football right now, 8.7 points per game allowed, and they did it against the guy that's going to be an NFL quarterback in Tyler Van Dyke and the Miami Hurricanes last week. That defense came to play. That defense will travel today. And Arkansas, as good as they are offensively, has a solid defense as well. 51 points, just way too many with an A&M offense that struggles as they do. So under the total.
Kenny White, the Wizard of Odds, Tom Fornelli, he of the Cover 3 podcast. Gentlemen, we are full of juicy picks for this college football Saturday. We have you to thank for it. Recapping the late picks, Kenny sees a high-scoring affair taking shape in Columbus. Tom likes the Buckeyes to cover the 19.5. Kenny again goes with the over in Tuscaloosa, but it's first half specific. Tom likes Arkansas to cover for a 5th straight year against Texas A&M.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.